The first thing that I'm gonna do is spread my wings and fly. I'm gonna land beside a lion and run my fingers through his mane. Or I might find out what it's like to ride a drop of rain. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, there'll be only happy tears. I will share the sins and struggles I have carried all these years, and I'll leave my heart wide open. I will love and have no fear. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, don't cry for me down here. I'm gonna walk with my dear mother, and she'll match me step for step. And I tell her every minute that I've missed her since she left. Then I'll hug her neck. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, there'll be only happy tears. I will share the sins and struggles I have carried all these years, and I'll leave my heart wide open. I will love and have no fear. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, don't cry for me down here. But when I get where I'm going, and I see my mother's face, I'll stand forever in the light of her amazing grace. Oh, when I get where I'm when I get where I'm going, there'll be only happy tears. Hallelujah. I will love and have no fear. Yeah, when I get where I'm
Good afternoon, folks. Thank you so much, Petrea. That was a lovely song and an amazing gift. It's a privilege to be able to be involved in the service this afternoon. We'd like to start by saying the Lord's Prayer, and if you're able to stand, let's stand and pray together. I'll lead us, but many of you will know this prayer. Pray with me. Let's bow our heads and pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you. You may be seated. I'm going to invite David forward now. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Reverend. Good afternoon. As you know, my name is David Loft. I'm here today to celebrate and remember the life of Scott McCarthy, or Scotty to some of his friends. I think Scotty had a few nicknames, Macca. The eulogies are in order, and we'll keep the ceremony really to a pretty well the time. The eulogies will be from all of his family. So there'll be Catherine, there'll be Sophie, Brooke, Ruby and Will. So that'll be the order that we'll talk in. Anyone wishing to share their memories of Scott, we would rather love to hear from you, and we'll have refreshments over here in this room next door, where we'll gather to remember Scott and talk about a few old times. Scott John McCarthy, born the 20th of the 12th, 1968. Scott was the only son of Neville and Elizabeth, also known as Joan. Neville had his own auto repair business and Joan was with the Australia Post. And as a young man, Scott was a keen rugby league player and Joan attended all his games. And he also spent many holidays water skiing with his uncle Norm, who was Joan's younger brother, and his wife Joanne and their daughter Amanda, who's here today. All Scott wanted to do was to become a policeman, and he realised his ambition in 1988 by graduating from the New South Wales Police Academy in Goulburn. His first posting as a probationary constable was to Queanbeyan, where we got to know him, and Scott was also a retained firefighter for New South Wales Fire Rescue at that stage. That's in the early 90s. And throughout his career, he attained many qualifications, and I won't go through them all here. There's quite a list. But what I've done, we've prepared a plaque over here in front of the cask, and it lists some of the qualifications and also some of the awards Scotty got through the honours list and also through the New South Wales Police. And including, there's an award there for detective and the arson investigator, plus many more specialist units that he was involved with. And in recognition of his hard work, Scott was awarded the Police Medal, the National Medal, and the National Police Service Medal. And while living in Queanbeyan, he also became a member of New South Wales Rural Fire Service, so a great asset to the fire service. Scott and I spent time in the outback, camping, which was a love of Scott's, in places like the Corner Country, Normanton and the Diamantina, working our way up towards the Gulf and Cape York. And he enjoyed fishing and hunting, which he enjoyed ever since he was a lock-up keeper in Condobolin, which was about his second or third posting, I think. It was pretty early days. Now I call upon Catherine to step up and to say a few words.
Thanks, Dad. Will's going to join me. Thank you, Reverend, as well, and Petrea, absolutely stunning. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone, for being here today to remember the life of Scott. There's many people in the room who knew Scott in different ways: a son, a friend, a colleague, and most importantly, as a father. And for me, Scott was all of those things and more. We lived together for 17 years. He was my husband for 12 of those, and the father of our two beautiful children, and someone who's been part of my life for 36 years. Scott and I met when he was 20 and I was only 17. That's only a few years older than my beautiful daughter is now. I was in Year 12 at Maroochy College, and I went and did work experience at the Queanbeyan Police Station. On my very first day, the sergeant came in and he pulled me aside in my Maroochy College uniform and he said, "Now you be careful of those probationary constables, and especially that one," as Scott walked past. And I knew from that moment it was all over. Scott then took me to my Year 12 formal. Did you want to come up, baby? And a few weeks after that, we celebrated Scott's 21st at his parents' house in Sydney. His parents, Neville and Joan, welcomed me into their home with warmth and kindness, as did Norm, Joanne, and a very young Amanda, and I remember Peter and Hilda next door. There were many Chinese restaurant meals that we had, and lots of laughter in those early days. Scott and I had a fun, full start to our relationship, and most importantly, if it weren't for Scott, I wouldn't have met my still best friend today of 36 years, Cindy. Scott and I parted several years later. He moved back to Sydney with the police, joining the undercover drug squad. The long distance wasn't for us, although our paths continued to cross over the years. In 2004, we moved in together in Murray Bateman while Scott was the inspector of the Yass police station. It was during those years that I came to understand the physical pain that he was living with. A car accident in 1989, while driving a police vehicle to Sydney, had caused serious neck injury, and it was undiagnosed or untreated properly for years. I encouraged him to get proper help and treatment, and eventually we went to Sydney and he underwent his first neck fusion surgery and was given a significant amount of time off work. That wasn't successful, and a second fusion followed. By 2008, he was medically discharged, hurt on duty. This was a devastating time for Scott. His identity was so closely tied to his work as a police officer, to serving and protecting others. Losing that just wasn't a change in job, it was a loss of his purpose. But Scott didn't give up. He transferred his skills into the Commonwealth Public Service, working in investigations, and then for the last 15 years with the Department of Human Services. That persistence, the desire to keep working, to keep providing for his children, never left him. We married in 2009 and welcomed our daughter Ruby in 2010 and William in 2012. Scott looked forward to Sophie and Brooke's visits during school holidays when they'd come down from the Central Coast. We all worked together, particularly with my sisters, my parents, and my friends, to create a loving blended family for all 4 children. He also played a special role in Cindy's daughter's Jordan's life. From when Jordan was 5 until her bonus dad, Ivan, came on the scene in 2011, Scott loved Jordan like his own daughter. Ruby, who we've always affectionately called our little dolly, has Scott's confidence and his ability to talk underwater. She has his big, kind heart, is compassionate and always ready to help others. Scott was so proud of her achievements, especially her nearly 10-year commitment to karate. Reaching black belt and competing in Japan were standout moments for Scott. And William, our little man, as Scott called him, Scott would have loved him to be a rugby league player, but it became very clear early on that his build and preferences was towards AFL. Scott respected that. He learned the game, supported it, and showed up to as many matches as he could. But what truly surprised him was Will's love for cricket. Scott encouraged it every step of the way, with pride, patience, and with love. Scott was really proud of the schools that our children attend, Maroochy College and Maris College. Scott believed in their values, the community, and that Ruby and Will were in safe hands. I will make sure that that continues. As a family, we made annual trips to Cairns and Port Douglas. He loved fishing, enjoyed my parents' beach house at Churros, and took the kids on many camping trips, all memories that you'll treasure forever. Even after our marriage ended in 21, Scott and I stayed closely connected. We shared the emotional and financial responsibility of raising our children. However, we remained flexible, supportive, and completely united in the goal to make Ruby and Will feel safe, secure, and loved. In the last few years, Scott's health declined. We shared countless medical appointments. He'd often disarm people and doctors when they were confused, and he'd say without any warning, "This is my ex-wife, but it's okay. She knows everything. She's my support person." I'd sit there horrified. We'd get some really funny looks. But the truth is that sharing a life is really hard to cut off. There was still care, a shared history, a connection that many didn't understand. We continued to speak daily, on the phone or text. And on the day Scott died, my call to him would be his last conversation. He thanked me for everything. He said that he loved our children deeply, and he told me he was looking forward to getting well and being the best dad that he could. I'm glad that they were his last words and the last words that I heard. Scott, thank you for the life that we shared, for the laughter, the lessons, and the beautiful children that we raised. I will honour your legacy and do everything I can to ensure that Ruby and Will grow up feeling safe, loved, proud of who they are, and proud of where they came from. And finally, just because Scott would hate for this to end all too seriously, I want you to picture this. That if there's a police reunion, a dog show, or even just a barbecue up there, he's already found the crowd, he's talking someone's ear off, cracking a really bad dad joke, and giving directions like he knows exactly where he's going, probably with a Coke in one hand and a dog on his lap. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. A few insights into what Scott's really like for those who didn't know him that well. Secondly, I'd like to call Sophie McCarthy to come up, Scott's eldest daughter, and say a few words, Sophie.
Over the last 2 weeks, I've experienced many different emotions. However, today I stand here with an immense amount of pride, talking about my own memories with my beautiful dad. Dad was a person who loved to tell a story. Didn't matter if you had heard it already 1,000 times, he would tell it to you again. This is one of the things I loved about Dad. Being part of the police force was one of Dad's proudest achievements. In a perfect world, I do believe Dad would still be a police officer today. He used to tell us stories when he was at different stations and the amazing memories he had. When I brought my partner Sam to visit Dad for the first time, he asked me what he could talk to Dad about. I said, mention the police force and you'll be fine for a few hours. However, his proudest moment was being a dad. He loved all 4 of us and constantly said how proud he was of us. The day before he passed, he called me to see how I was holding up in the floods. I said we had internet back, so life was good, and I was writing my school reports. The conversation ended with, "I love you, Soph, I'm so proud of you, and I'll talk to you soon." That is a conversation I'll never ever forget. He couldn't wait to show us off to anyone who would listen. After every event, he always wanted a photo, even though he was 8 hours away. At our high school graduations, moving into university, graduating university, and me being in my first classroom. After every photo came with either beautiful girls or I'm so proud of you. There are moments I'll hold on to forever. Our trip to Lake and Condobolin with Brooke and Dad and myself has been something I've constantly thought about. He couldn't wait to show off where he worked, where Mum worked, and the house we lived in for the first few months of my life. Every spot in these towns had a story, and Brooke and I were hanging off each word he was saying. With this trip and many others, he made sure there was a pillow and a blanket for me in the back, as he knew I'd be asleep before we hit the highway. My boyfriend Sam was the first and hopefully last boy I'll ever bring home, and he was the only one Dad met. A week after Dad met Sam, he called me to say how I found a good one, and he was so happy that I was happy. This is a moment I'll never forget. Dad, I'm at peace that I know you are no longer in pain and no longer fighting the demons. You are now looking down on us with that cheeky smile, still being proud of us. Dad, I promise you the 4 of us will be okay. We will continue to talk about you, to retell your stories, and to ensure you are constantly with us for the rest of our lives. No one should lose their dad in their 20s, let alone their teens, and my promise to you, Brooke, Ruby and Will, is that we will get through this together. We will always love each other and always have each other's back, and we'll always keep talking to Dad about Dad. Dad, we've got this now. Sit back, relax as we enter the next stages of our life, ensuring we are making you proud and bringing you along for the crazy ride. I love you, Dad, and I always will. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophie. It was very moving. I'd like to call on Sophie's younger sister, Brooke, to say a few words.
Good afternoon. My name is Brooke, or BB to my dad, and I'm Scott's second born and second favourite child after Bubba Will. I was lucky enough to be living with and caring for my dad since last July. Scott John McCarthy, a highly respected member and inspector of the New South Wales Police Force, a valued son, friend, and husband. But most importantly, he was my dad, my superhero. This has been the worst time of my life. However, I'm so grateful to everyone who has reached out and shared some funny stories of my charismatic, smart, hard-working, kind-hearted dad. To tell you the truth, I've been grieving that version of him for years. For those who don't know, Dad has been quite unwell for the better part of the last year. I quickly went from his daughter to his protector, a role that I would take on over and over again. Dad and I were a great team. We valued each other's contributions, even if Dad's were only monetary. Thanks, Dad. I spent my life worrying about him. Was he lonely? Had he eaten? Was he in pain? The absence of that has been odd, to say the least. Dad worked in Condobolin in the mid-90s, where he served as a detective before moving on to become the lock-up keeper at Lake Kajelico. It was at Condo that he met my beautiful mum and started a family that would grow to include Sophie, born in 2000, and myself, born in 2001. Mum speaks of those years with fondness, painting vivid pictures of their life together. One story that stands out is about Dad's favourite haunt, the back bar of the Condo pub. With a plate of his usual rump steak, peas, chips and steak sauce, Dad would light up a room, connecting with everyone in his path. His warmth and his ability to make others feel special were unmatched, and the publicans knew to prepare Scotty's usual the moment he walked in. Dad had a passion for community and a deep commitment to justice. He found joys in the annual Condobolin Police Charity Golf Days, not because he was an avid golfer, sorry Pop, but for the camaraderie and the chance to contribute to meaningful causes. His work family in Condo, Docky, Clive, Jed, Gibbo and Tom, held a special place in his heart. Together, they navigated the challenging and often heartbreaking realities of police work. For Dad, justice was more than just a profession. It was a responsibility that he embraced with courage and determination. His unwavering commitment to victims and their families reflected his profound sense of duty. He was incredibly proud of his policing career. Being a policeman was my dad's destiny, and something that he loved with his entire heart. It was the core of his being and the centre of his values. Whilst my dad faced his own battles, my mum has always wanted us to remember the depths of his strength. There was a time that he was driven and ambitious, a time when his courage inspired everyone around him. He had a kindness that touched everyone who knew him, a kindness that will be deeply missed but always cherished. Dad loved his children unconditionally, and his legacy remains in the stories that we share, the lives that he impacted, and the love that he gave. As we say goodbye today, let us hold on to the memories of his hearty laughter, his steadfast dedication, and his unwavering love for his children. Dad had plans to retire, buy a caravan, and travel Australia. He spoke about getting a casual job at Bunnings and moving locations as he travelled to get him by. Besides policing, that would have been my dad's dream job. Dad only ever raised his voice once at me in my 23 years of life. It was because I put chicken salt all over the hot chips we had for lunch, which meant he couldn't eat it. Dad took Will and I out to the pub for dinner a few months ago. It wasn't until walking into the pub that we realised he was wearing Ruby's White Fox trackies with pink branding and his shirt back to front and inside out. That encapsulated my dad pretty well. I'm so grateful to have gotten to spend the past 23 years of my life with my dad. Although, it's not necessarily 23-year-old me that I grieve. I grieve for the Brooke that will walk down the aisle. I grieve for the Brooke that will have kids without their poppy who would have spoilt them rotten. I grieve for the Brooke who has those moments that she just needs her dad. I grieve for the experiences that all four of us will have that will now have a missing puzzle piece. To my friends and family, I cannot thank you enough for rallying together for us kids. We will be eternally grateful, and I know Dad will be too. I will never fully recover, and I will never not miss you. I will never not have conversations with you in my head. Nothing about this is fair. How could you see and speak to someone every day and in an instant that's all taken away? I urge you all to go home and squeeze the people you love so tightly. You never know when it will be the last time. Dad, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't patient with you at times. I'm sorry I could never fully understand the demons that you were fighting. Thank you. Thank you for never instilling any doubt in us kids that you were proud of us, that you loved us, that we were the best thing that you've ever done. Thank you for blessing me with the best family, notably the best mum in the whole world. I know she loved you very much. I wake up every day knowing that you're truly at peace. No more hurting, no more tears. This is something that I'll hold on to forever. I will never stop reminding Sophie, Ruby and William how much you loved them. Dad, I promise I'll protect them. I'll be a safe place for them to fall forever. I promise we'll never stop speaking about you. Your legacy will live on through us and our future children. Dad, I love you and I miss you, but I'm so happy that you're finally at peace. Thank you for being my dad. I love you, mate. Rest in peace until we meet again.
Thank you, Brooke, for those lovely words. Now I'd like to introduce Scott's third daughter, Ruby Loft.
This time last year, I was sat front row with my dad speaking at my nan's funeral. Now 1 year later, I'm sat front row speaking at his funeral. No words could explain how much I miss him, but I know that he's in a better place. I would like to look back on some moments that makes me think of my dad. I remember the first time he forgot to pick me up from karate. I was at karate waiting till I called him, then Brooke, and then Mum. And guess what? No one answered. But Dad then texted me saying he was so sorry. As soon as I got home, he felt so sorry and just kept on apologising. I've now realised that my dad was one of the most selfless, kind-hearted and considerate people that I knew. Now, he may have looked like an old country town bloke with absolutely zero fashion sense, but really, he was a gentle, strong-willed person. He did still have pretty bad fashion sense, though. I remember one time, he thought it was okay to leave the house with blue floral shorts, a pink floral top, and a very obvious Birkenstock tan. Brooke and I, being the fashion icons we are, thought that it was the funniest thing ever, because Dad didn't care about what other people thought. That was one of my favourite things about him. Now that I know I will miss him so much, but we get to celebrate him with all the people that he loved. So Dad, thank you for being the best dad a girl could ever ask for. I will make sure I carry your light throughout the rest of my life. This isn't a goodbye, it's just a see you later. I love you forever.
Hi, I'm Will. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the best and favourite child of my lovely mum and dad.
He's doing my job.
My dad was a kind, generous, respectful, and of course, a ladies' man. And frankly, I think I take after him. One of my favourite memories with Dad was watching the State of Origin. Being the person I was, I loved to push my dad's buttons. So when I found out he went for Blues, I naturally went for Queensland. He never said anything about me going for Queensland, but I just knew he hated it. Dad loved his beloved Raiders so much so that he would take me to nearly every single game. A lot of you know, but I love AFL, and he knew that too. When my mum and his team were... When my team and his team were on, he would always switch the channel to my team over his. That just explains the type of person my dad was. My dad absolutely loved the police. He loved serving and protecting. He would always put a smile on mine and other people's faces. I remember whenever he got the chance, he'd always yap on about the police stories. He didn't care if he could talk about for 1 minute or an hour. My favourite story was where he got called to a scene where there was a fire and a homeless person burning all of her clothes. After she did that, he had to arrest her, and he said that it was really awkward. I'm sure you can imagine. My dad really enjoyed watching all my sports, from cricket, AFL, and rugby. Even though he would never physically watch them, he will always be up in heaven watching. I remember me and my dad's last conversation. He picked me up from tutoring, and he saw me, and he had the biggest smile of his life. And as old as you would have guessed, we were talking about sport. We were talking about golf and the State of Origin. And we kept on talking the whole way. My last words I ever said to my dad was, "I love you so much." And I gave him a big hug. Sadly, I'll never be able to do that again. To Mum, I love you so much. You are my most favourite person in the whole world. To Sophie, Brooke and Ruby, our dad loved us so much. We'll all get through this together. I love all of you. And finally, to the greatest dad, I hope you're having hearing aids. This one, you're going to need it. You are the best dad in the world. Even though I'll never see you again, I will love you to the moon and back. I'm going to miss you so much. I love you so much. R.I.P. Dad.
Well, I think we know that's Scott's son. Yeah, tremendous, great speech. I'd like now to call the Reverend Richard Jackson to the lectern, please, to give the chaplain's address. Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you so much, David. It's quite difficult to follow that. It's very moving tributes, and thank you for sharing it from your heart. And I also thank you for the opportunity to say a few words. I gave Catherine my word that I wouldn't speak very long. It could be a scary thing when a preacher gets up and starts talking, but being a man of my word, I won't keep you long this afternoon. You know, it's moments like this, for me, for sure, and I think for many of us in the room, and dare I say for most of us in the room, that it's a reality check in life. You know, especially when you look at the order of service and you're not very far away from that bracket, the date of birth. Death is a reality check for every single one of us. Because when we do what we do today, we are reminded that the one thing that every single one of us has in common, regardless of what car you drive or what nice house we live in or where we work or our status in society, we've got every single one of us has got something in common. Apart from being born, we will all pass on. And no matter how much we anticipate the loss of losing someone, whenever it happens, it always comes as a shock. It has been said that death is the equalizer of all people. And the Bible is perfectly clear that there is a 100% rate in the human race. It's inescapable, it's unavoidable. One of the psalmists actually writes in Psalm 89, he asks this question, he says, "What person can live and not see death? Who can escape the power of the grave? And of course the answer is no one. Not one of us will escape. King Solomon, the wisest man of all time, wrote these words. In a similar sort of vein, he says in Ecclesiastes, none of us can hold back our spirit from departing. None of us have the power to prevent the day of our death. There is no escaping that obligation. You see, this is one appointment we all must keep, for which no time has been set, certainly none that we are aware of. But you know, there's something else that I think about at times like this. It's what we've just been speaking about. It's legacy. What sort of legacy are we leaving? And what made me think about this is a writer that I came across some years ago who made this observation. He says this: it's not the fear of death, of our lives ending, that really haunts our sleep so much, as the fear that as far as the rest of the world is concerned, we might as well have never lived. You see, there's that kind of death. There is that kind of realization. Did we leave a legacy? Did we leave something worthwhile behind that people will cherish? Has my life counted for anything? You know, and listening to the eulogies today, and I really appreciate you sharing, we heard about the impact that Scott had on his children's life. And when you share a cup of coffee or tea later, you'll share stories about the impact that Scott has had on your life as well. Fond memories. And over the years, obviously, a very wonderful legacy. Have you given any thought to your legacy? What will be said about you one day? It's a poem I would like to read for us. I've often read it at occasions like this, and I'd like to do so again today. The poem is called The Dash. You may have heard it before. It digs a little bit deeper into this idea of legacy. I'm sure everyone received an order of service coming in. You'll notice there are 2 dates on the front of that order of service. There is a birth date and there is the date of passing. You'll notice that that date, whether it's on a bulletin or on a headstone, it's separated by a dash. What did that dash mean? Was that dash well spent or was it wasted? Was it given for temporal things or was it given for eternal things? Was that dash well lived? We heard a moment ago about Scott's dash, just a little bit. But what about your dash? Because you see, we are in our dash. You are living your dash right now. It's a very sobering thought. Another thought before I read this poem. Again, there are 2 wonderful milestone dates in our lives. The date we were born and the day we realize why we were born. But maybe a message for another time. This poem, The Dash, by Linda Ellis, it reads as follows. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from beginning to end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most was the dash between those 2 years. For that dash represents all the time they spent alive on earth. And now only those who remain, who loved him, know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time there is still for that to be rearranged. You see, if we could slow down enough to consider what's true and real and always try to understand how other people feel and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we could treat each other with respect, and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read, with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash? You see, we all have a dash. We are living our dash right now. But here's the thing. What really gives life to our dash, however long or short that dash might be, because for some people it's really short, for some people it's really long. The only thing that gives true life is given by a man named Jesus, who is the Son of God, who himself said that he's come that we could have life, and life abundantly, life to the full. And that's the good news of his amazing grace. May your dash be full. You see, the question is not if we will die. We will. It'll come for us. The question is rather, how will we live? Because we all just get one shot at our dash. We must make it count. And I say this in closing as a means of encouragement for us all here today. It is said that one day your life will flash before your eyes. Make sure it's worth watching. I'm going to ask us to stand and invite Senior Constable Anthony Rogers to give us the police ode. Now, at the end of the police ode, he will say, "We will remember," and we will say together, "We will remember." Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Reverend. Just a quick background, not a story, but I met Scott when I moved back to Condolan about 30 years ago, and we got on pretty well. We shared a house together for a while, and got plenty of stories. But I'll save them for later, of course. I'll go with the ode, and we'll get to the response, and I'll let you know when that's on. So the ode is: as the sun surely sets, dawn will see it arise. For service above self demands its own prize. You have fought the good fight, life's race has been run, and peace your reward for eternity begun. And we that are left shall never forget. Rest in peace, friend and colleague, for the sun has now set. We will remember. Response: hasten the dawn.
Thank you. You folks may take your seat. We are going to have a time of reflection. Thank you.
It was answered 6:03. He sits down next to me. We were flying out across the Great Divide, bound for WA. He shook my hand and said, "G'day." There I was, Slim Dusty by my side. I was flying with the king, riding on the wind. A small town boy from nowhere, my head up in the clouds. All the times I heard him play, and here I was today. I was flying with the king. Was Trumby riding slow, 30,000 feet below. Way down there round a fire with Gidgee coal. The desert stretching on, home to countless dusty songs. He was the man who walked a country mile. I was flying with the king, riding on the wind. A small town boy from nowhere, my head up in the clouds. All the times I heard him play, and here I was today. flying, I was flying with the king. And before I knew the wheels touched down, he smiled and said, I'll see you around. There was so much more to say, but he was gone. And now he's gone. I was flying with the king, riding on the wind, a small town boy from nowhere, my head up in the clouds, and all the times I heard him play, and here I was today. I was flying with the king.
There's an old man and a lazy boy, TV on a western, fast asleep. Gray in his hair, at least what's left, but the heart of a lion beating in his chest. And there's a little more slow in his go, a little less rock in his roll these days. But I remember him 10 feet tall and bulletproof, throwing me a ball in cowboy boots. A whistle and the dog started running, a whisper and mama starts blushing, a wrench in his hand and a beer in the other. I couldn't make a man any tougher, and that S on his chest is starting to fade. But I'll always remember him that way. I used to think that he'd never get old. That kind of thing was for regular Joe. And he tries real hard to put up a fight, but I guess time is his kryptonite. 'Cause I remember him 10 feet tall and bulletproof, throwing me a ball in cowboy boots. A whistle and the dog started running, a whisper and mama starts blushing, a wrench in his hand and a beer in the other. God couldn't make a man any tougher. That S on his chest is starting to fade. But I'll always remember him that way. There's a little more slow in his go, a little less rock in his roll these days. But I remember him 10 feet tall and bulletproof, throwing me a ball in cowboy boots. A whistle and the dog started running, a whisper and mama starts blushing, a wrench in his hand and a beer in the other. God couldn't make a man any tougher. Yeah, that S on his chest is starting to fade. But there's some things time can't erase. 'Cause I'll always remember him that way.
beautiful memories there. Let's stand, please. We come to the time of committal and our benediction. And if you're okay to remain standing during our closing song, you're welcome to do that. Let's pray together. Lord, today with its events, it revives memories and stirs all kinds of emotions. We thank you, Father, for the opportunity we've had today to celebrate the life of a man who lived much and was dearly loved. Lord, standing here now kindles a sense of loss, and there's an emptiness that we feel that nothing can fill. I'm praying, Father, that the family and friends would not be overcome by sadness or despair as though there were no hope for the world. For them and for us who remain, Lord, help us to face life with steadfast faith. Hasten the time when the thoughts that distress us will be the very things that somehow enrich our lives and deepen our ability to love. And now, for as much as it pleased Almighty God, in his wise providence, to take out of this world the soul of our deceased loved one, Scott John McCarthy, we therefore commit his body to its kindred elements, earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, looking forward to the resurrection in the last day and the life of the world to come through our Lord Jesus Christ, at whose second coming in glorious majesty to judge the world, the earth shall give up their dead, and the corruptible bodies of those who are asleep in him will be changed, and be made like to his own glorious body, according to the mighty power by which he is able to subdue all things to himself. Amen. Thank you, Petrea.
True blue, don't say you're gone. Say you've knocked off for a smoke hole, and you'll be back later on. Hey, true blue. Hey, true blue. Give it to me straight, face to face. Are you really disappearing? Just another dying race. Hey, true blue. True blue. Is it me and you? Is it mom and dad? Is it a cockatoo? Is it standing by your mate when he's in a fight? Or just Vegemite? True blue, I'm asking you. Can you bear the load? Will you tie it up with wire just to keep the show on the road? Hey, true blue. Hey, true blue. Is your heart still there? If they sell us out like sponge cake, do you really care? Hey, true blue. Is it me and you? Is it mom and dad? Is it a cockatoo? Is it standing by your mate when he's in a fight? Or just Vegemite to Rubaloo? I'm asking you, true blue. Is it me and you? Is it mom and dad? Is it a cockatoo?